and welcome to our podcast, Lift Me Up. My name is Valerie.
My name is Borut.
Today, we will talk about an interesting topic that both of us experienced in our lives.
Not only that, I think that everybody will experience that in very, very near future.
Yeah, it's like how to completely reinvent yourself and change your career. So both of us experienced on our personal life how we completely went into another direction in our work, and it impact a lot also our personal life and everything around it. So the topic today was definitely about how to, when you feel that you have to go into another direction in your career, that you have the courage to do it and what it actually means. So maybe I would ask Borut first that he shares his experience of being photojournalist, complete digital world, and then something changed.
Yeah, I would just add something to the intro is that not only that the careers are many times will be flicked, but also like when people are getting retired, they have like a successful career, they did their role in their society and so on, and then when they retire, some of them they have a new life. Some of them they don't know what to do, and so I'm pretty sure when I will retire, I will just retire, meaning I will not be.
You're not stop working.
It might be a little bit different regime of pay taxes, but for all the rest it will be the same, because that's how I am. Because also part of my life and our lives is a change, constant change. And
Upgrades.
I heard everything is changing in life except one thing. There is only one constant in life, and I'm not talking about Einstein and physics. The only constant in life is change. It's always constant change.
Yeah, it brings a lot of stress sometimes, but also it brings, I think, new inspiration and maybe some new ideas.
What do you mean sometimes?
Often, yeah, it's stressful.
It's definitely stressful. Even we talked about when going to the seaside with your family, how stressful is the backing. It's very stressful. Yeah, it's always stressful. Even if things are getting better, it's always stressful. The change is always stressful.
So what happened in your career? How did you completely transform yourself?
Well, first of all, if I go back, I had a couple of flips in my career, and I would say the biggest one was when I was teenager, when I before I decided which profession will I follow. I had lots of hobbies and lots of things interest me. One of them was photography, no doubt about that. But at the time, I didn't have I had that camera on the top, Russian Kiev, which the live into wasn't working. It wasn't working. So that's why. Oh, I'm sorry. I left it correct. It's a Soviet camera, Kiev, because now Kiev in Russian. So anyway, so this Soviet camera was great, but was not so good. So that was one hobby. The second hobby was like being a carpenter. Like I love to do things with work. So that's why because I didn't have a good equipment. I didn't have support. Is my phone.
Had you explained that you went to carpentry school?
No, I'm just trying to do that. Yeah. So first because I didn't have like the support, I didn't. So I went to the carpentry school, and that's why I focused in the carpentry, and then in the middle of the carpentry school, I decided to go to photography, and not to only to do photography. I went to the Academy of Photography in Prague, which was So if I look back, I did lots of flips in my life. I lived in many places, and I moved throughout Europe and cities and big cities and small cities and so on, and the cabin in the forest and everything to London so I done lots of change, but I think that was the biggest one. Like from conceptual with you can actually but when you're young, you have to flip. And I think this is something
Have to try some.
you have to have for a change. You need to have this dareness of a youngster. You know, I think that's also like a source of change. You know, you have to dare.
Maybe here I have to add something because I also work with students. And what I've noticed is, especially, I don't know, since the last 4 years, everybody who is studying something, whatever, I see that immediately they start to, think just what they can earn from what they do. It's like looking through a professional lens, which is, of course, also good. But when you're in college, in school, whatever, you have to, like you said, you have to do things playfully, like take it as a playground, experiment. Of course, also focus on your career after college. But often I see that young people coming in the school, they just start immediately to say, oh, we see the business model, I will follow this business model, but they don't allow themselves to go out of the comfort zone. Yeah, try, for example, if they study film, they don't want to even try photography because, okay, it's just a kilo film, which is good, but definitely take this space and time being a student, embrace trying new things.
Yeah. When I'm teaching students, I always say if you want to have like a good career advice and good professional, it's not like don't think about how what will bring you money, but just get working habits.
Yes.
So you're sort of like I said, like you guys, we are working here 3 months to do a project. Well, in my professional life, I have to do this, what you do in 3 months, I do it every week or for maybe 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. And it's never ending, it's like 52 weeks per year and keep on going, like rolling, rolling, rolling. If I get ill, I have to call somebody to explain what to do to make it happen because a magazine will come out on this date, that day, and you are a small wheel in a big assembly line, and you have to make it. So this is a professional discipline that will actually propel you forward more than And now when you're talking about what about you? Like you also experience like a lot of unbelievable.
Yeah, also, if I look in my college years and all that, I always wanted to be just classic film director. That was my like vision. I mean, if I go back, there's many changes in my teenage year, but it's not so important. The most important thing is that in college, when I was studying film directing, I was inspired a lot by one of the mentors, one of professors, who showed me a lot of experimental film. He was really passionate about it. And for the first time, I realized that films are not just, to be played in cinemas, but, it can also be played in galleries. It can be interactive, maybe sometimes art piece seen in gallery, like a short film, can touch you more than like a feature film in a movie theater. So when I experienced all that emotion, I said, wow, I really want to be more engaged in one-on-one, like in gallery settings, how to be more intimate, but still tell the stories. And this was my first big mind shift. Later on, even bigger life career change was, of course, something else, which we can talk about a bit later. But still, I can mention that being in arts, then like from the movies and then contemporary art and conceptual art, I suddenly enrolled myself in the military. So art and military, it's something completely opposite, some people would say. But if you look way back, often the history of art was always part of military. Also I've heard many like things about especially German military who still have a lot of art subjects in their military education, which is interesting. Nobody usually thinks about it, but somehow art and military, Slovenian armed forces, is my career path now. So from arts to military, and now also jumping out of the military and combining all of that, it is a complete life change. Also being a freelance artist for I think 12 years, and then suddenly I'm part of this public sector, which is completely different. It was like bureaucracy, paperwork, all of that, which was completely different in my past life.
And now, surprise, surprise, you are a podcaster.
And not thought this podcast, yeah, definitely social media, which is inventable. It's like everybody needs to be part of that if you want to live in this contemporary ecology system.
Yeah. Um, that's definitely true. You are very inspiring because you really have guts, and you really everybody that knows you, you we know that you're going really heads on and full time, and no when you decide, and
The decision
the
is made.
decision is made. You have, and then everything like all the everything needs to be done. It will be done as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's like maybe if I return back to what you were saying, it's important to give yourself some time to experiment, also to, be open for new suggestion to the change. I was always scared of changes. I really was comfortable with like one way of doing things, but one time I don't remember specifically that day, but I realized that yes, I need to embrace the change. Also, the sentiment back in my teenage years was among my people I was hanging out with was like, oh, this person changed. It was like a bad thing. But then later, when I started to think more about it, it's like everybody is changing. We are growing out, maturing, whatever. We should embrace it, of course, always to try to change for better, not for worse, but you never know what happens. Life happens.
It's not a lot. It's even like let's talk. I just want to talk because also we are now inviting people to our wedding, and I was also thinking about my childhood friends and with who I was really friends like like decades ago, and a decade ago, and now. And it's very, it's not that we changed for better or for worse, but interests before, you grew up in the same street, and now you have co-workers, you have people who are in the same interest that you are, and so on. So
Oh yeah, recently I noticed one big discussion on social media. Somebody asked, this could be also a good topic for some other episode, but like how to even get new friends when you're adult. Is it natural? Is it something that we are supposed to work on? How is this even happening?
I have an answer.
You have an answer?
I have an answer. It's basically the same as with kids. They made a study which kids are the most popular in school, and they did all the studies. So meaning they checked the rich kids, the poor kids, the smart kids, the less smart kids, athletic kids, beautiful, like aesthetically beautiful kids, like all the categories. They really went through, and I guess you're not surprised.
What?
Well, that was the reason. Is the one who was showing the most care for others
Yeah.
and
And listening to others.
listening to others and give real attention to others. And I will quote you or some other podcast when you said when you were in school you were overweight all the time, but you never thought that you were overweight, and you were never at peace because you were overweight. On contrary, you were always the president of the class, president, sorting things out and so on. And and you were always the most popular. I mean, not the most.
Yeah.
You were always popular and person in elementary school. Why?
Yeah, because I gave attention to others. That's true. And I honestly was curious about their life and everything.
And it's not only then, it's also now, like, as you know, like lots of people want your attention, and not only from professional point of view, but also a personal point of view. And I must say, I won the lottery.
Yeah, that is true. That the what they were discussing when I was reading the comments was actually, and I was surprised that that's because we have a big different lifestyle. People when they wake up, they like have breakfast with their family, they go to work, and maybe they work alone in the office, and then after work they're tired, they go home, they're in front of the TV, and they're like, I don't know where to find friends, because this is the only habitat they're living in. They actually never meet new people. So one woman was asking, I don't know, should I go to some dance club? Where should I even find people? And it was very interesting. I think we should talk about it, but some other time, because it's a really interesting subject. But it is still a part of what we were saying today: how to reinvent yourself, especially with a focus on career.
Yeah.
And I want to return here back to your case, because you were working, I don't know, 20 years as a professional, like photographer, working in like magazines, journalism. Yeah. So what happened, Emma?
Oh, no, as a professional photographer, I was working.
You're still big.
Yeah, I still working, of course. But it's true that I had like a commercial career and photojournalistic career, like editor and photographer, and that also now I'm going to the web plate like in 19th century and teaching slash art career, you know. So that's also true.
Did you even decide to start completely analog, not using vinyl anymore? I think this is the major change in your career.
Yeah, why do we change? You know, why do we change? Because we have to. You know, like people who don't find friends, they don't have to find friends. You know, they are like, if you have to find friends, you would find them. If there would be a war, you would need a help, you would find friends. You know, now we are all comfortable. We are, you know, we have, you know, we just don't scroll the phone or binge watch whatever. We are comfortably numb, and you know, life passes away. And it's not how old are you, it's how many days have you lived again and again. Is it one day, or is it like it would tomorrow be the same as it was today, or you'll have some other changes? And
And for some people, that's fine. It's like they're happy. But what happens when you're
I'm not saying happy. I mean, happy is overrated.
yeah,
I think it's just like,
content.
yeah. So it's just like, you know, that's what we're already talking. Why do we have to change? When it's too much. When you say, you know what, I'm bored of, or like I'm bored, or I want to, so you have to change. You something like external circumstances are forcing, and this is good. This is natural. This is how life is. Life is not here. We are not born to be happy. You know, we are here to be tested and to develop and keep on going. We are the consciousness that is here working every day. So
What's happening to you?
so to me, it was the same thing. It was the recession came. I was working really like a lot, and I was earning a lot. And I was doing two jobs at the same time. One was commercial photography, one was the photojournalistic photography, and I was also photo editor at the same time. So I was really working a lot, and this was good. But then other things happened. So I was aside the divorce that started at that time. It was also like, so this was one thing, and then second thing was the recession came, and the recession came. That means that, you know, the prices of petrol went up, and you know, the traveling was more expensive. I didn't live in Lugano, but I live 1 hour drive out. So basically, I was driving, and I was working really hard. And one day I was looking at my check, my payment. I was looking at my expenses, and I put them together. And I said, you know what? I'm wondering, because the prices went up and the payment went down. I was wondering, have I earned anything? You know, have I earned anything?
Before costs.
Like, I'm just wondering if and I said, you know what? And I just got this idea. You know what? If I would use the same working discipline that I have for employer, if I would use the same working discipline for my art, I bet I will do more work, more money than this. You know, this was like such a revelation. I said, oh my God, yes, I could do this. And I closed it and I started a change. First of my, then I started to think, just like a prisoner, how to escape from the prison, What will be my exit strategy? I will use I will dedicate this time to that purpose. I will educate, like for the wet plate, I said I love it so much, but I know I live in Slovenia, so that means three things. One, if I want to do it professionally,
Maybe quickly explain what wet plate is for somebody.
Yeah.
I have heard about.
wet plate collodion is a process with this kind of like old cameras. This is basically new camera, undo camera.
But the 19th century
Yeah.
style photography before they had film, right?
Yeah, exactly. Photography on film. Photography on glass. With the old cameras and it for So with this thing,
Here I'm just add a little commercial break that whoever wants to learn this kind of photography, Borut has also workshops, and we will put a link in the description for possible workshops. But just to, we have to add this detail.
also like we could also give a discount on these cameras
Yes.
because they're made.
Somebody interested, definitely you call.
Anyway, but let's go back to the change. So the thing was this: I realized as a wet plater, if I want to do this professionally, I cannot do this as a hobby. I mean, I could do it, once, twice, and close it, and that's fine. But I want to do it like full time. If I want to do it full time, I have three choices. One, stop. Second, move to some other country because the market here it doesn't exist in this. Third, I have to become so good that the people from other countries will come to visit me and hire me here in Slovenia. And I went for a third one. So this was like kind of I was hatching the plan how to do it. First, become really good. I went to the United States to learn from the best person in the world, and that's Mark Osterman from George Eastman House Museum in Rochester, United States. And then and so on and so on. I made really steps which I want to take, it took me like decades to become really good. But now people from all over the world are coming to my workshops. From just to name the walls, I had people from Taiwan, from Singapore, from Johannesburg, from New Zealand, from Sao Paulo, from Los Angeles, from Toronto. Just the other month was Gore from Toronto, and whole Europe. And so it's working. The system is working,
But here I have to maybe ask you. One thing is, of course, the courage to do that. And then, of course, we are all adults. We have to think about finances, which in your case there was not really much to think about if you don't earn with this work anymore, like recession stuff. It's kind of logical. But also the third thing is even how to take time for yourself to even get this idea. How did you even get the idea to try it? Was this something you were passionate about as a kid, or was it a random coincidence that you saw a wet plate somewhere that inspired?
No. First of all, let me correct you. It was, just imagine you have a steady job with a steady income. Every month you get a money. You have a family, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to quit steady job and a sure job in the peak of the recession. It takes a lot of. I mean, I was keep on doing it, but in my mind, I started to hatch a plan. So this was like my thing. I set myself a buffer of a couple of years to prepare. So I didn't want feel like that. I mean, don't burn the bridges behind you. But keep on building new bridges.
Yeah, that's really important. Also for my case, I will just quickly add, even though I went in the military training and all that, I still left my art career, at least for that transition year. I remember exhibitions were still happening, although my mind was in the ditches, in the field working, but I left that open. And also when I completely immersed myself into the new career, and still it is a bit on pause, but it is reboosting, restarting. So I like the bridges.
Yeah.
I do learn.
Yeah, that's really important. So, but basically to answer your question, why did I went from a sure business and a very successful commercial photography to the hand-baked 19th century 19th century handmade photography process and to art is basically I couldn't see at the time. We're talking about 2010, 2011, 2012. Uh, I couldn't see myself taking picture anymore. Like I just lost all the love for photography. After I went back home, I just left my camera. I didn't want to see it. So
Similarly, it happened to me actually. Earlier, I can also share my point of view to why I decided for this change. Of course, it is a new challenge, especially if you go to basic military training. But why this decision suddenly happened in my mind? No, it wasn't sudden, maybe. But I was working so much as a freelance artist as well, constantly working on getting the funding, the writing the reports, all of that, besides making art, which was the thing I enjoyed, but I didn't enjoy like sitting behind a computer and just writing reports. But after all that years, I felt like I also reached the limit. I remember my last couple of shows, exhibitions, I was just there like a robot. I cared. I started to put the cables. I was working with technicians and I was just like not enjoying the process. It was
That's quite fascinating. And I just thought that you will also mention that, your authoritarian nature wanted you to be like behind a tank. And
later. This happened later. No, but that one part is true. Maybe I really wanted to test myself also physically.
of course.
And later on, I realized it's not a physical test. Like being in the military is basically more mentally tough than physically. Of course, you have to be fit to a certain level, but the difference between somebody who is fit, because all of the people in the military are kind of fit, is like the mental capacity. And later, when I started to really work in the military, I realized that my background from arts is so beneficial that otherwise I cannot even imagine how I would be in the military without all of that experience from arts. Like working with curators, with artists, with people. It's like learning people skills. This is like military is a big community. It's not just our national military, but we're collaborating with our alliances. The system is like art system. Of course, it's different, but it is working like a system. So not just being creative. Of course, being creative helps in every aspect, but to understand broader sense what the community can do, what you can do with like working with people. So it was very beneficial, but I also had a lot of months and years, I would say 3 years time when I was already in my mind thinking about the change. I didn't talk about it a lot with people. I don't think I even shared it with my partner back then, but I was, contemplating about this. And then suddenly I just said, okay, I'm applying to military. And everybody was like, what's happening? You're crazy.
I have a crazy anecdote of hers. She, by the way, a book is being written about her
The
life.
beginning stage, but yes,
No, it's not the beginning stage; it's proper
it
stage.
is writing.
But it's writing. Anyway, I will share one anecdote. She was always overweight, so her maximum weight was 135 kilos, and then when she went to army, she was half of that, like 70 or something like that.
64.
64. Okay, less
Now
than
I'm
half.
10 kilos.
Less than half. But her heart is so big, it's like made for double her size. So when they were doing testing in an undisclosed area, in an undisclosed country, in undisclosed context,
Cannot tell.
um, she have bitten she was the first one because of her heart, because she was as a woman she was carrying the same weight of, I don't know, 20 kilos, and she was faster than the Rambos, who are like 30 100 and plus kilos, full of muscle, six packs and everything, like, and she was better than them,
Yeah, I started really slow. I kept on going really slow until the end. It was extremely hot, and the heat was the problem because everybody started to run really fast. It was 20 kilometers walk or run. And yeah, in the middle of this walk, most of the guys, they got this heat cat. it's called like a heat, almost a heat stroke. So they had to stop and rest, and I was just slowly going forward. My heart was pumping slowly, but I reached the end, and also the focus in my head was clear.
Yeah.
And I think this, what's the word for that? To be really precise,
The flow.
focus in the flow, and just keep on going, even though if you go slow.
Yeah.
So I would say also in this career change, it doesn't matter if it happens overnight, it happens in the 3-year period. But one thing that is constantly in my mind also when I'm thinking about my next steps in life are something that I'm keep on thinking for like many months or even years. If I don't do it, I think I will regret when I will be older.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to suddenly wake up 90 plus year and just like everything would be different if 20 years ago I would do that thing,
Yeah. That's exactly, I mean, in our previous podcast, we talked about education, and I told this anecdote, which I will repeat now. When I did when I did BA, when I had BA degree in fine arts from Prague, I went to do postgraduate studies in London. So, and I just wanted to have, so I didn't went there to do, I wanted to experience, I went to do the entry exam in London College of Communication, or at the time was called London College of Printing. I went there just to finish my entry exam, to try to earn get enough money for scholarship, and because I will not get it because I didn't want to ask parents, and I will be happy for the rest of my life. So basically, I dared to I just went there just to say, you know what, I just want to do this so I can be clear with myself for the rest of my life. I tried, but who will blame me if I'm, I don't know, 25 or something like that, and I don't have, I know, 40, 50,000 euros for education. No, nobody will blame me, the least me, and I will be happy for the rest of my life. Exactly what you just said. Exactly with that. I went there, but fortunately, I did gather the money. I got a lot of scholarships, and people recognized my talent, and was fine.
Yeah, because it's something I sometimes hear. It's like people say, "Yeah, but what if I fail?"
Yeah, of
And
course.
then the answer for that is, "But what if you don't fail?"
Yeah.
But what if you succeed?
I
And this
I
is
always
better to ask yourself.
I I always say, but we will fail. On the end of the day, we will all die.
Okay,
And
this is a
and you just have to give your best. And if you give your best and you fail,
you're still on the same spot.
you said, you know what? Actually, I give it. You say you will learn something, and you did your best. Who will blame you? What is really horrible is if you succeed and you've done it with your left hand,
Try
or
hard
you
enough.
cheated, or kind of like, I've done it
Shortcut,
because, I've done it with my left hand. I could do so much more, but I was settling myself for the comfort, and for the sure, what's the word? Sure solution.
Yeah. So maybe to conclude today's discussion, what would we give advice to somebody? It doesn't matter if it's a young person, old person. If they have something for many months in their mind, should they try it? And what's the first step to do it?
Well, you know what? Before we just make a final conclusion, I just want to say this, and maybe this will be an answer to your questions. Is I am living at this time and in this age and this stage of my life. I'm living one of the most throughout changes of my life. Like I really, we moved the house, moved the studio, reinvent my career, reinvent. We are building a relationship. We are building a new career, which I will talk a little bit later, or upgrade the career. And plus, we are building a house and a family, and everything else. So it's like so many changes in the one time in one space is so overwhelming. But I must say that I am drawing the confidence, the peacefulness, and the content where I am, and that in from couple of things. First and foremost is it's you, because I have we have the same goal, and you and I know that in this goal there are many steps, and some of the steps are just taking too long. Either we are, if we are talking about putting the what's the word, deskan of it say, if we,
The toilet seat.
if some of the steps are taking too long, like like
Learning how to put down
learning
the
how to
toilet
put
seat.
the toilet seat down, to the other professional levels. But also at the same time, there are certain steps are just going amazing, are just opening, the doors are opening. One of the most amazing one that is happening right now, and we are talking about this weeks, is an online course, with
For photography.
yeah, in photography. Like I'm at the moment I'm opening it. Valerie has a PhD in science, or will have a PhD in science in a couple of months, and she's an expert in AI and computers. And with her help and her support, and support of my brother, who is a web designer, Amaru.si. So he is.
We will put the link in the description.
I am building this confidence, this model that actually works. At the moment, I am inviting people who are already on my workshops in person, and we're having online, but things are evolving. We are also talking, last week we also visited a university where I could, or a school that I could teach. We will see. But nevertheless, the things are,
You're embracing the change.
yeah, the change is amazing. Like, it's going so fast, and with such a so to answer your question is the following. First, you have to find a root in a purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
Purpose for me, we talked about last time. The purpose for me is the most, is why are doing, even if you're sitting on a couch and you say, I don't want to go to the gym because I'm lazy, or I want to just be just that you clear yourself and say, okay,
Yeah,
this is
enjoy.
why I'm doing it.
Just enjoy
At
the
least
couch, yeah.
if you ask yourself why you're spending time in front of TV, or why you're losing your years in this whatever activity that is on, or these patterns that are sucking the life of you, at least that you ask yourself, you shed some light on the things that you are dark, or are unknown. So just to ask yourself, why are you doing positive things, or why you're doing the negative things? Just that you shed a light on that, it's a positive step. And then slowly, I would say, so this is one of the advices. So what would you?
I would say it doesn't, like, it's not important for maybe single people, which is maybe another situation. But if you have a family or a partner or whoever is with you, that you start to talk honestly about what you feel. Because often I think when you are in a pattern, especially for many years, because I know from my experience, there was one goal, one path we decided back in the years, not with Borut, but if I'm talking about previous relationship, it's like we discussed things at the beginning and we went on this route, this path, but during the years we both changed and we didn't talk about it. I had everything in my mind, how I see things differently and all of that. And at the end, when I mentioned what I really want, it was something completely different from the beginning stage of our relationship. So that's why I would say that if you are thinking about any change whatsoever, start talking even in the beginning stages of your thoughts with the partner. I mean, you're a team at the end, it should be a good teamwork. And I'm sure the partner can also somehow just listen at least, and maybe help you somehow, at least with encouragement. So that's something to maybe I would like to give advice. But for people who are alone or single or whatever, maybe talk with a friend, like the best friend you have, or find somebody to talk with, because I think it's the most difficult part, that you're constantly in your thoughts, like a hamster wheel, thinking, and not doing anything. And maybe we already mentioned, I mean, in a couple of episodes, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it.
That's right.
I mean, not to, like, if you're unhappy what's happening at the moment, you have to do something about it to do it.
Or accept it.
Or accept it, yeah, but
That's what
then not to complain about it.
Exactly.
Like you're choosing it.
Yeah, I would say that what you just said is like friends sometime can just, just well, I think that on the end of the day, it's on your own. You're on your own. You have to get, you have to think about it. And but what kind of change are you talking about? Like, because I think let's more focus on the profession. Why?
Career.
Because AI will erase a lot of jobs, and there will be a lot of protests. There will be a lot of shit will hit the fan. That's
something to talk about also some other time.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I know this will happen, and we have to be ready in the sense of be like, for me, I want to be agile, I want to be fit, I want to be curious, I want to do what I want to do, and I want to be really good at that. But again, why I'm doing it, I'm very clear. I have a very clear purpose, and how I now information is so cheap, like it was never so much information that there's now. So it's just like, grabbing the bull by the horn and just bracing yourself so it will go.
Yeah, and here also I would say it again, we talked about it today. Even if you're retiring, even if you're in like 70 plus, it doesn't mean that the life ended. If you're fit, you can do many things. Like I know personally a few people who are 70 or more years old, and they just overnight decided they will start to train for their first marathon.
Yeah. Oh,
So that is possible. And often even now in my generation, 30 plus, some people act like the life is over. It's like, oh, why would I do that? It's like I'm old. Like, no, you're not old.
Yeah.
What are you saying? So this is maybe one of the thoughts I would add to the conclusion.
Definitely. Great. I think we can sum up, huh?
Yeah, we can sum up. I think for both of us, we had many changes in life. That's why maybe we understand each other a bit better, because yeah, it's definitely, it helps if somebody has big life change and then you experience all the stress and then you can understand another person. If you're living in a bubble, it's much more difficult to do that, to give support.
To repeat, the only constant in life is a change.
It's change.
So trying to depend on things that are always the same is really a great recipe for catastrophe. So embracing a change, I always say a life is kind of like juggling balls. They're always flying above and they're always out of balance. They're just on the brink, on the edge to fall on the ground, but then you catch it and you throw it up again, and then you catch it and you throw it up. And this is how I always think of life. It's not something that would be stable, that will be make you happy, and it will be just like that as it was yesterday and as it was 10 years ago. It's always changing. And that's why I am in the middle of one of the most intense changes of my life. And I've done a lot of changes in my life, and now now I'm close to 50. I'm 51. So and I really draw this. And yesterday we talked about placebo. I'm really drawing from the placebo. I said, you know what? I'm 10 years younger, and I just,
You
I'm
have to
40.
embrace that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I am. That's why when we go to gym, I do my training properly, and so on and so on. Like, the changes are here. I have to learn about new tools, how to write a new newsletter, how about the code of, how the AI can help you to code the AI, I mean, the newsletter. yeah, okay, I will learn, I have to learn, I'm expert in the 19th century photography, but, I will also learn HTML, how to code, that's how it is. If it has to be done, I will do it. And, less questions and more action, the better.
Yeah, I would say thank you, Borut, for sharing.
Thank you.
Please subscribe. Please always keep on learning, keep on exploring, be creative. And just a little hint, on 6th of October, we will have big exhibition in Studio Pelikan in Celje, Slovenia. So stay tuned for
Yeah,
more information.
It will be really big exhibition, and we were both exhibiting. It's my project that I'm working on 10 years already, but it's coming like the conclusion, the result, the flowering, what's the word?
Blooming.
The blooming of the project is with her and with Valerie, and we will have area that we will celebrate the flower of the project, the nectar of the project together.
So stay tuned, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
6th of October 2026, Celia, Studio Pelican. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.